G'day viewers, my name's Graham Stevenson and I'd like to invite you to come on a journey of creativity and learning and adventure through the series Colour in Your Life. There's an artist in every family throughout the world, and lots of times there's an artist deep down inside all of us as well. So grab your kids, your brothers, your sisters, your aunties, uncles and mums and dads and come and see how some of the best artists in Australia do what they do.
We're in the beautiful city of Sydney this show to see an amazing artist, so come along and enjoy the incredible talent that Sydney has to offer.
Well, g'day viewers, here we are down at Sydney Harbour today, and we're going to be spending the day with a lady who is a fantastic watercolour artist, and she paints a lot of the amazing scenes around this incredible harbour. I think one of the best harbours in the world. Shirley Peters is just making her way in on their boat. Now, I think one of the special things about Shirley is she actually travels around the harbour on a boat and stops in some pretty amazing places to obviously look out on this scene that she's seeing. But as you can see, she's just coming in now with her husband, Bob. So we'll wait till they get in here and we're going to set everything up with her and then have a great day. I mean, look at this view. Opera House, Sydney Harbour Bridge is pretty amazing. So come along for the ride. All right guys, well as you can see, Shirley just arrived on the boat.
Yes.
Got out and we're ready to go for the day. But as you can see, a magnificent view behind us with the Sydney Opera House and the Sydney Harbour. It's a great place. Your history, you've got a fairly diverse history as far as your art is concerned. You did a fine arts course at Randwick Tech. And then went on to do some graphic design work.
Yes.
You've also been a children's book illustrator as well.
Yes.
Your book was shortlisted for one of the major prizes.
Yes, that was very exciting.
Tell us a little bit about your history.
Leaving school, I went to Randwick Tech, which was a diploma in art education, where you learnt to be an art teacher, but I wasn't really happy about teaching 15-year-old girls at the time, and they were uncontrollable for me. So
Sure.
I looked around for a different course and then I decided I'd do graphic design. And I learned a lot in graphic design. It was a very practical course. Most of my career has been graphic design, but children's books became a passion for me, especially once you have children. You end up reading a lot of them and then you end up wanting to have a go.
Sure.
And I was working for a short time in a publishing house, and they were doing children's books, and so I had my opportunity to start there, and I've done a lot of those in the trade and for education as well.
Fantastic.
And yes, and having one shortlisted really is the
pinnacle, isn't it?
It's the pinnacle for Australian illustrators, and that was Mervin's Revenge by Leon Peguero. Since then, painting has become my passion, so I love to paint. As a lot of artists do, we just want to get that paint out and splash around. That's tending to be what I do. I returned to college for a little while to hone my skills, I suppose.
Sure.
Find out what everyone's doing nowadays more with the painting and the practical side. In reality, I've taken my own path anyway, because I did very fine detailed work when I was at this new TAFE, Meadowbank TAFE, and now I'm going to loosen up a little bit.
Sure.
And I'm doing a lot of watercolour and freer work.
Yeah, and I've noticed that your work is very graphic. It's got a very graphic aspect to it. But I really like, the juxtapose with a lot of the colours that you use. I think it's just fabulous. You've also travelled fairly extensively, Rome, Florence, Netherlands, New York, San Francisco with your art career. It's just taken you around a lot of places.
Yes, I've been travelling a lot and painting those cities, and I'm able to sometimes have a show in those cities, or one in particular was Amsterdam last year. I paint the Tour de France. From here though, not from over there. when I go over there, I haven't got time to do the painting, so I do that here. But the Amsterdam gallery really wanted me to put some work in there in a show there. So that was last year, and maybe again next year if I'm lucky.
That's fantastic. All right, we're going to set up and paint this beautiful harbour today, so why don't we let you start to set your stuff up.
Alrighty.
And we'll sit and watch that and then get stuck into this fabulous watercolour.
Okay, great.
Thanks, guys. Okay, well, everything's set up. Shirley's got her easel set up and her paper, watercolour paper ready to go. But one thing I think that's really unusual with what Shirley does is that she paints or uses seawater to help her with her work. Explain that to me.
Well, I like the DNA of the area that I'm painting in to be in the painting.
Sure.
Full of bugs.
Full of bugs.
And often it's fresh water. If it's fresh water, it's great. If it's muddy water, the Parramatta River is, a little bit sometimes. But the salt water doesn't worry me at all. It doesn't affect the paint.
It doesn't affect the paint at all?
No, it doesn't affect the paint.
That's amazing. All right, well, let's go and get some salt water then.
All right.
Okay.
See what I can catch.
All right, Shirley, ready, set up, ready to go?
Yep.
You'll notice being down beside the harbour, you're going to hear helicopters, trains, dogs, waves and boats. So if you hear those in the background, just focus on the painting, okay? But I'm going to let you get a head start and I'm going to ask some questions, but I'm going to step out of shot and we'll let the master take over.
Right.
So I'm handing over to you.
Okay, thank you. I normally like to start with some charcoal and a bit of a sketch, and I have some fixative to use afterwards.
So you don't find that the fixative seals the paper, particularly with watercolour?
I'm actually using acrylic paint, so it's not watercolour.
Okay.
That's the secret. That's why I can use salty water and I can break all the rules.
Yeah. What about the easel that you've got there as well? I mean, you've obviously got your paint separated out, but that obviously stops the acrylics from going off, does it?
It does. I've used various mediums in this that have allowed me to hold it up so you can see. Mix the paints. I've got the names written on the top so I remember what to replenish it with, and I have a medium that keeps it fairly wet.
So, but you use a fairly basic palette anyway?
Oh, very traditional palette.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Just with the bones of the painting, I have a very large choice here, and I'm going to narrow it down to mainly the city area with a little bit of the bridge coming in and a little bit of the shoreline there, I think. Maybe these two buildings. That might make a nice little image.
Okay.
So I'll just start with a little bit of where to put a horizon. We might be about there. And then I might think of a pylon there. Then I've got a little bit of foreground happening here. That looks like a pontoon or something. They're all just shapes to me. I'm very casual. There's something else that I need to talk about is my ability to paint realistically as opposed to very spontaneously. I'd much rather be spontaneous and interpret the scene. So even though I'm here looking at the bridge and looking exactly at all the detail, I'm not going to paint exactly what's there, because to me that's a photograph that I can get a camera out and take that picture. I want to use it as an interpretation so my painting becomes a unique product that I'm producing. It's a one-off, done once only. I can't even reproduce it myself the way I do it in this spontaneous way.
So there's a lot of artistic license involved?
A lot of artistic license, and it'll be loose and fast.
Sounds great.
And yeah, watercolour-ish.
Okay.
So a little bit of detail. The bridge will be in there, maybe down there, up like that. Buildings behind here, up there.
So do you obviously feel that plein air helps you with the construction of your work?
It spoilt me. I can't paint any other way. And if I paint with a photograph now, from a photograph, I find I'm so tight and I'm painting that photograph. Mm-hmm. I don't have any freedom to change my mind, because it's like it's a rule. It's telling you exactly what to do.
Well, luckily enough, on a day like today, we are outside in the beautiful city of Sydney.
Yeah, that's right. So that's about all I need to do I think, for my...
So it's a very basic sketch then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just don't want it to get muddy with the paint, so I just add a little bit of the fixative. And there's the fixative.
And that just stops the charcoal from seeping into the colour?
Yes. Now I've got some lovely brushes here. This is my favourite one.
So you're obviously using some quite broad brushes as well to put some washes down?
Big brush, and I'll make 2 lots of water.
I still can't get over using salt water.
Yep.
That's a kick.
I'll just pick a big brush for water, for the plain water. So just to start with, this is where the watercolour technique comes in. Different day to day to what I'm normally painting. Normally I would only go out in the bright sunshine, although lately I have been looking for rainy days to get a different palette, very pastel-y, purpley.
Obviously your shadows would be a lot more subtle on a day like today.
Very much.
Yeah.
The city itself is in a dull mood today, so I'll be using blues, mustardy browns and blues. Burnt sienna would be one choice, and mixed in with a little bit of ultramarine blue. That will be a start for over here, the high-rise buildings.
Wow, so you're really utilising every little section of that brush.
Yes, these beautiful square-shaped brushes are fabulous for that.
That's great.
For this sort of purpose. This is what happens with this paper. I haven't stretched it, and it does get a little bit bumpy when it's being painted on.
Yep.
And I just have to work through that and not worry about it, because I know it flattens off later. It looks fine when it's all finished. A little bit of warm sun coming through now, so I'm just going to add some yellow as it pops out. Just an impression.
So what drew you to the idea of getting in a boat and travelling around the harbour?
The harbour is such an attraction. I've spent so many years travelling that I realised that I had these beautiful tourist icons here at home that I was ignoring.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is just a beautiful place.
Yeah. The harbour bridge has lots of verticals and diagonals, and I tend to just, how can I put it? It's just got to be something you just got to go for. You can't be too exact about.
So do you feel that your travel and your study with the Impressionists, French and the Chinese, have influenced you a lot?
Oh, very much. In China, I was lucky enough to get a lesson by a traditional Chinese painter. That really freed me up using the brushwork, calligraphy, and I think calligraphy is something that I put in the paintings.
Yeah, so I was actually going to say that the way that you use the edges of the brush and the side is it's very calligraphy based. So, but very, very effective too. It's quite striking.
It's a really fun way to paint, because it forces you to be free. You cannot do a tight detail with a paint this big, with a paintbrush this big. So I'll clean my brush at the moment while I have a think about the next stage. The beauty of working with acrylic is you're not really constrained by the wetness and the dryness of the paint. It's you can let it dry, you can relax, sit back, and then start working again. Pick up where you left off, and you're not waiting for, or you're not rushing to get something while it's wet in wet. You're able to have that dry thing happen straight away. So
sure.
It's much more convenient. And I'm going to do a little bit of a watercolour technique, in so much as leaving parts of the paper white for the boats that are out there.
Oh, okay.
In the distance, I start with a little bit of ultramarine blue, here, there and everywhere, not too much. And I know underneath this wall there's
oh, that's a beautiful colour.
Yeah, it's phthalo turquoise.
Just beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'll bring that down here. Now I've got a problem coming up here, and that's this dripping water from before, which I didn't notice in the sun. So this is the beauty of acrylic. You can start painting thicker and over the top of what you've already applied, where watercolour, it's one go. With acrylic, I can start doing impasto now and go very thick if I wanted to.
Yeah.
I had a lady come up to me the other day. I was doing a very big painting at the of the Harbour Bridge from the other side, and she said, oh, she wanted to paint, but she didn't have any room in her house to do any painting. She lived in a unit, and I was able to suggest that she got her paints in her car and just went outside, because look at this, the size of the studio.
Great idea, yeah. I mean, yeah, look at the size of the studio. It's pretty endless, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
I think that's really part of the great joy of painting plein air like you do, is just being able to get outside.
Yes. Instead
of locking yourself away all the time in a dark studio.
That's right. It does give you the freedom to explore your area.
Very much so.
There's always something to paint when you walk outside the door. I have a little bit of an issue with the paint water. I don't know that I should tip it. I definitely don't tip it back in the ocean.
Oh, okay.
Because I think it's got cadmiums and poisons in it. And but what I do I don't mind doing is putting it up in the dirt somewhere. I figure
it'll eventually
earth to earth, ashes to ashes.
It'll leach it out.
I'm at the point now where I need to get fresh water, so I think I'll go and do that.
Do you want me to empty that for you?
Oh, thank you. That'd be good. There are some brown shutters here, so I'll just use a straight colour.
That's fantastic, that work with that brush. That's amazing.
Of course, this is totally fictitious, but that's all right. I'm not worried too much about that.
Beautiful. Now see, that looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Got those shadows coming out.
Yeah. And just as the sun brightens, I'm finding it's easier to find colours in that city. I love the way the Impressionists discovered colour in shadows, and that's really been my fun thing, is purple shadows. One of the reasons I started painting in this style was I started doing roughs for serious oil paintings, and I rather found I liked the rough rather than the oil painting. So then I found if I went bigger, it was more fun. Yeah. And if I worked on paper, it was less stressful as well. What I might do now is have a bit more fun with white, because I can.
I want to see this white, because
that's what watercolour people can't do.
Yeah. I was about to say that. That's the thing. I mean, you've got acrylics with white.
Yeah.
So
that's right. So I've got some mixed up here.
Smaller brush.
So I'm just going to have a bit of a play around with these boats in the distance, and just do a small brush for a little bit, not for very long.
I see.
Not for very long, because I do like the bigger ones. The beauty of this.
There you go, look at that.
Is being able to
the yacht mast, it's amazing.
Masts. They're everywhere. I can come back over that opera house.
Look at that,
A bit more colour to it. I might just add a couple of big poles in here. I love timber. Old timber is really quite a challenge. So as you can see, I can really impasto this work on now, really add texture. Every now and then something happens, a ferry comes into view, and you feel tempted to quickly put that in and
pick up the yellow.
And go for it, but I might resist it this time. Luna Park in the corner.
Oh yeah.
It's a hint. Now I will turn to the Harbour Bridge and to the two pylons with that very awkward colour. The one on the other side is always half there, half not there, so I'll just put a hint of that.
So you've also been involved with painting the Tour de France as well. When are you going to head back and do that again?
Even though I show the paintings over there in Amsterdam, I paint them here, and I have a team of people who follow me, and I sell them on eBay each night. I paint a picture from each day of the race. Yeah. I photograph the screen. I get blurred, weary, exciting photographs of the bikes racing around and in the rain, and then I go through and quickly choose one that I love, and it usually has to have emotion and the feel of the day. I paint it up that night, and then I photograph it and put it on eBay the next day. And then
fantastic.
they bid for it each day. Yes.
Isn't that wonderful? That's a great idea.
It's good fun.
Another very innovative idea.
Each year I'm not sure if I got time to do it, but I used to get a few emails from people who've bought from me last year and they say, oh, can we have some more?
That's great. That's the way to make a living, let me tell you.
It's lovely, yeah.
It really is.
I met a gallery owner in Amsterdam who was very keen to show the work, so she had an exhibition of them last year and she wants to do one again in 2015. So that'll be the time we go over.
Oh, that'd be great,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Almost finished. A little bit of the reflection of the Harbour Bridge down like that. Reflection of the city and the water. The distant buildings always much lighter than the foreground buildings, so I'm just going to lighten those up a little bit.
Just to knock them back a bit?
Just knock them back a little bit, put them in way back. All right, I think that's finished.
Fantastic.
And I'm a little bit old-fashioned in so much as I did promise my dad I would sign every painting.
Yes, it's always very important.
I think it is.
Sort of to make your mark.
It is. So, sometimes I like to hide it in amongst. I don't like it. Some people will sign out on the front of the picture and make it very big and bold. It's a very Renaissance thing to do.
Yep.
But I'm a bit more of a subtle person. I'd like to hide it in amongst somewhere like that. So I just might put it like that. The more casual it is, the more I use my initials. And something I've spent weeks painting, I would spell out my name.
Beautiful. Fantastic. All right, guys, a fantastic day. Very talented lady. Thank you so much, Shirley.
Oh, thank you, Graham.
And look at this scenery. Doesn't get much better in the world. It really doesn't. That was amazing what you just did. A very, very talented lady. Now, in saying that, you do take plein air classes with people in areas like this, and I think that would be absolutely fantastic for people to be involved in what you're doing.
Yes, I do. I love people to come and join me, and we can paint together, and on a weekend or during the week. During the week is lovely because it's so quiet, but weekends are fun too, and it's a chance to get outside. You don't need a studio in your own house. You don't need space. This is the studio out here, and the paints are, you know, bring your equipment, and we'll get together at a beautiful spot like this and produce artwork that you can take home with you.
So they can go to your website at
shirleypeters.com.
Okay, shirleypeters.com.
Yeah.
Go in there, talk to Shirley about doing this. I think it'll be a sensational day for anybody that lives in the Sydney area. Just fabulous. You can also see Shirley's work at our website as well, colouryourlife.com.au. We've got tons of videos out these days as well, guys, so all of these really talented people, if you want to come in and get a little closer to them, we've got those out as well. Facebook, you can come in and see some Colour in Your Life at Facebook, and we go from there, but we're going to continue our journey around the Sydney area. We've got a few things to do while we're down here, but we'll sign off, and as I always say, guys, remember, make sure you put some colour in your life. We'll see you next time. Bye now.
Bye.